Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a bit about my last week in games. And as always, we will start with EVE Online, but I don't have a lot to report there. I played a lot less EVE Online last week, mostly I think because of the war, but also because of the other game, Path of Exile, of course, that new league. But yeah, the war, I felt like it was probably going to wind down at this point, to my surprise, or maybe it's meant to be like that. You don't have an end time for the war. You don't know for how many weeks the enemy has paid for, and apparently it was 2 weeks, 200 million ISK that they have given to the NPCs in order to war deck us. But I felt like, yeah, I still don't see anyone. There was no follow-up on the shield, so I think just making sure that I don't give them anything to do or to shoot at is probably gonna be the best tactic at this point. So I really did very little EVE Online, a couple of patrols, my blueprint copies, and yeah, a few runs to Jita, obviously, where I did a little bit of speculation on Tech 2 ships. Hopefully it'll work out, but other than that, not much to report. And well, the war is over at this very moment, so that's really cool. We're gonna try to rebuild a little bit. I did evacuate like 90% of my stuff from all of the structures, and so did everyone else. There's like no fuel left in the trade hub. So first thing that I did was grab a little bit of fuel from SSamba and refuel the stations, give them a nice increased buffer. We still had like plenty of time, 3 weeks left or something like that on the one that was at the lowest points, but I tried to keep them at around 30 days, so we did that refueling. And next, well, we'll see. Of course, I have to get the blueprint copies back up and running, because it's a lot faster, a decent amount faster in the structures, also a lot cheaper though, so that's something that we'll be working on. And then of course I think we'll get back into some exploration. It's actually been a long time since I went out there and did a really big exploration tour for like an hour straight or something like that. So looking good for me for EVE Online. Of course, we went through another war, the tactic that well, we tend to use in Co Incorporated, because we're such a small corporation. It's not like we can defend ourselves against like a big alliance or anything like that, is to basically try and not give them too much fun. Don't respond to anything, just don't give them any easy targets, move around a little bit from base to base, and that is yet again what we have done, and it's worked. We didn't lose anything, and we are good to keep going on our adventures in detail, apparently. On the news front, not that much to report, of course. There's the patch coming next week with the Frigate Escape Bay, the PvP changes. Who knows? I've got a few ships that were also donated that might be good to take into low sec. We will see what we will do on that front as well. I am personally, of course, a little bit more interested in what's coming next, and well, we'll have to wait for CCP to actually start announcing that stuff. I'm really excited though. We've got a lot of time at this point, considering that almost everyone is home, so hopefully we'll have some cool things to look forward to, and some cool things to do in EVE Online. Next up, of course, we've got the Path of Exile League Delirium, which I am, well, doing my best for a couple of characters for. First of all, of course, I started with the Popcorn Necro once again. Necromancer, really very easy playstyle. I kind of like it. Love minions myself. Love to see a big army run through everything. So that is something that I always tend to go to first. But I changed it up a little bit. I added in the Skidder bots. They also have Infernal Legion, so they do burn for a decent amount of damage. They're immortal. It's like unstoppable damage for bosses and things like that. On the other hand, they take mana reservation, and that means I don't have mind over matter, and so my tankiness is becoming a real problem. I don't think I can basically get that character past yellow maps or anything like that. I'm still in the white maps at this point, but yeah, that's what I did with that Necromancer up to this point. I still have quite a few upgrades to get, including a couple of uniques that would really boost my damage and perhaps also my tankiness a little bit if I find the right ones. But it felt like I'm gonna bump into that same roadblock again. If I try to get into the red maps, it's really gonna be inconsistent. I'm gonna start to die to one-shot mechanics and things like that a little bit too often. So I happened to see a video from ZigD about the completely busted and overpowered build, presumably. So I decided to take a look at it. At least now that I've also made that character, he's into maps as well. I do think it will get nerfed by the next league. Hero Pumped Templar, who uses Stormbrand and who uses the new Archmage support gem, and then you just focus on getting as much mana as possible, which boosts the damage and the cost of your Stormbrands, but you can get to some pretty ridiculous levels. I invested 1 Exalt that my Necromancer found into a chest, a 6-link chest, and now, well, we are just bursting through these maps at incredible speeds. With bosses, there's like just the Arcane Cloak, it activates Arcane Surge, I believe it is, gives me like a 50% damage boost. It's really crazy, it is definitely busted, but I do feel like with this character I'm probably gonna be able to get more done than with the Necromancer, because I got some really bad stuff, focusing on mana mostly, but with Mind Over Matter it's really not that much of a problem. I do still die from one-shot mechanics from time to time, but I think I'm getting better and better at things. Don't want to take maps with Reflect Elemental Damage, for instance, but it's, well, if you really want to try something that'll get you through a lot of stuff in Path of Exile, that is definitely the go-to build at this point. Stormbrand, lots of mana, Archmage support, you are gonna cruise through everything, you're gonna burn down bosses like never before. It's not for everyone and it's not for every league, but for this one I did want to give that a try, and it's been an incredible experience so far. That was my last week in games, guys. Stay healthy, and as always, I'll see you next time.